and it worked. So we're all really good about coming up with excuses, right? We don't have the time to be successful. We don't have enough money to be successful. We don't want to leave our kids because, we only have them for a short time. And like I said, I don't know if you heard me this morning, but that was one of my biggest things, was my fear of what were other people going to think of me when, everybody else is baking cookies on Saturday morning and I'm at another Scentsy event. But don't worry, my kids got to bake cookies. It just might not have been on Saturday morning. So successful people use their excuses as reasons to make more money, and reasons to make more time in their lives, as for reasons to spend more time with their children, more quality time. I don't know how many of you, I've had times in my life where I'm home with my kids a lot and I'm stressed out because there's so much going on, or I have to get to work and I have to do this and I have to do that. But now I really focus on the time that I should say, my son just left for college, so it's really sad. So it's weird to say this, like he's at home, he's not at home. But it's just knowing that when I was with them, it was more quality time. So we're gonna go with 10 strategies to create a team culture of leadership. So you need to create a culture in your team. Now, I am not perfect. I have problems on my team just like everybody else. I'm not the perfect leader. I'm not the perfect wife. I'm not the perfect mom. But I do the best I can. And I think that is number one. That's not actually number one, but that is the most important thing you need to know, is you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. We've all heard that quote lots of times. And you do the best you can. If you just try to stay positive, things are going to work out for you. So number one is to build belief. This is so important. You need to build belief in yourself. So to your team needs to believe in you. Your team needs to know that you have their back. Your team needs to know that you might make mistakes, but they're not going to block you on Facebook because you made a little mistake, right? They have your back. They know that you have their back. You need to build belief in Scentsy. So if you have a team that every time something changes in Scentsy, your whole team is in an uproar and everybody's posting all over the page, I can't do this anymore, we're not going to have free shipping anymore on $200 parties, or I can't believe they ran out of Stella the Unicorn in 8.7 seconds, or any of these issues that go on, I will tell you, honest to God, my team page, we don't have uproars because we've created that culture that we have to figure out how to make this positive. And that starts with you as a leader. You have got to create that culture within your team. You have to build unshakable belief. You guys have probably all heard that. Your team needs to have unshakable belief, again, in you, in themselves. So that's another big thing. You've got to help them believe in themselves. You've got to help build unshakable belief in Heidi and Orville. Because I will tell you right now, even when I don't understand a decision or a change that they've made, sometimes it takes a day, sometimes it takes a week, sometimes it takes a year for me to realize why that was such a good decision. So you just have to tell yourself that they're good people, they make great decisions. As they said, they are going to stay in this for the long haul. So we just have to trust and believe them. And you've got to make that a part of your culture of your team. You have to help people to trust the company in general. Okay, that kind of goes with Heidi and Orville. I don't even know why I just said that. So so building belief in that. This is another big thing that I have, is sticking with one company. And I know this is kind of a tricky one, and I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but I very strongly believe that if you're trying to represent too many companies, then you're just confusing people. You're confusing your team, you're confusing your customers, you're confusing everybody. They're like, okay, well, she must not be doing very well with Scentsy if she's over here trying to make this and sell this. And it doesn't even have to be a direct sales company. Just be careful. Don't spread your wealth. Just keep it. It doesn't even, if it ends up not being Scentsy, do something that you believe in, something that you feel passionate about. So let's say you love to craft, okay? So you're like, okay, I need to make some extra money. So I'm going to go buy this machine and I'm going to craft this and I'm going to sell these on the side and I'm going to make these shirts and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Oh, and I've got to sell Scentsy over here. And So what are you doing? You're confusing everyone. Your team is seeing that, oh my gosh, this Scentsy thing must not be working out for her, right? But so take that crafting that you love. I don't know if you guys know who Heather Gorsuch is, one of my favorite people in the whole world. She is so gifted and talented in crafting, and I am such a wannabe. So I try and pretend like I can do it. It's so funny, you should see what I make, and it's so ugly. But anyway, my point is, she'll do parties, and she incorporates her crafting creativity, her greatness, into her Scentsy parties. So instead of making these really cool things and trying to sell them on the side, she makes it part of her party. So you'll have to talk to her, and actually she's doing, it might be right now, but go find her on, does she have like YouTube videos or something? But anyway, it's fantastic. If you don't know, ask somebody about Heather and how she does her parties.
What's her name again?
Heather Gorsuch, Gorsuch. So just really cool. And Brittany Clapp is another one that does parties where you actually create something and do a Scentsy party at the same time. So there's so many different ways. If you guys walked through like all these creative ways to have parties, anyway, you guys also. I got so many great ideas. So be a positive, bright light on your team. I'm still in build belief, and that's the last part of it. So be positive, be a bright light, be somebody that everybody wants to be around, right? If you're negative all the time, or you're posting negative stuff all the time, people aren't going to want to be with you. They're not going to be inspired by you. So do your best. Some of us are not naturally super positive people, and some of us are. So some people have to work really hard at it. So when you catch yourself, go on your team page and say, you guys, you know what? I'm sorry. I should not have posted that. Instead of like hiding it and deleting it, or just fess up. Just say you're sorry. Sorry is a big one. That was another one of our trainings. So number 2, and these are the 10, what were they? The 10 strategies to creating a team culture of leadership, right? Oops. See, you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. I mess everything up here. So number 2 is you own no one on your team. You don't own anyone. Your team does not belong to you. They belong to you. They belong to anybody, your director. They belong to your superstar director. They belong to Heidi and Orville. They belong to Lori. They belong to Chuck. Actually, they don't belong to anybody, but you don't own anybody. And so one of the things, honest to God, this is one of the reasons that I feel like my business has been so successful, is I've never been threatened by the fact that Becca Levi is absolutely amazing. I don't ever want her to not have a relationship with my team. So my point is, be really careful about feeling like you need to be the one that is so great and that you want your team to love so much, because not everybody's going to connect with you. And if you have enough people on your team and they all think you're fantastic, well, something's not right, because we're not all alike. We don't all connect. Like, I look at Becca and Kelly, for example. I mean, they've got it made. They are so lucky because they complement each other so well. They have such different styles. But just remember, you don't own anybody. You want to have a relationship with, you want your team to have a relationship with anybody they want and never be threatened by it. If they think Courtney is the most fantastic person that ever walked, don't be hurt because they like her more than you. Let them go follow her and build a huge, amazing business. And guess what's going to happen to you? Your business is going to grow and your business is going to be even bigger. So number 3, focus on action, not training. So many people are constantly saying, okay, I watch YouTube all the time. I do this all the time. I watch this training. I did this training. I'm in a DIT. I did a Rising Stars. I do this. I do this. Okay, so why are you at, 100 PRV on the 4th month? Why don't you have anything in? Because you're overtraining. So focus on action. Go do a party. The best training is on-the-job training. Until your business is going strong, or until your team's businesses are going strong, don't send them to another training video. Send them out to do a home party, or send them out to try a Facebook party, or send them to go find an event where they pay $25 for a little table. And if you haven't done every single one of those things, you need to, because how are you going to lead people if you've never done a Facebook party, or if you've never done an event? And maybe you don't enjoy them, but at least do something, do it once, so that you could say, okay, I was really bad at it, but this is what I learned. And so you can learn, you can do it, and just do this a little bit differently. Same fundraisers, same thing. We are a business where your work ethic literally writes your paycheck. And that's pretty cool because, like Melissa Gratz said today, after 17 years, she had nowhere else to go with her business, with her job, right? And with our business, if you need some more money, how cool is it that you can literally pick up that phone and make some calls and do 5 more parties and pay to go to Spring Sprint or World Tour or wherever. Our work ethic writes our paychecks. So the harder you work, the more money you can make. The more money you make, the more things you can do. The more people's lives you can bless, the more you can have. Let's see. So focus on action, not training. I do want to just tell you one little story, and many of you have heard this, but about my first 3 Novembers for some of you who may not have heard it. And this is because, and I say this because when I started Scentsy, well, first of all, there was no Facebook, so there were no Facebook trainings and YouTube trainings. Well, maybe there were. I have no idea how old it was. But I only went out and did everything. So, first 3 Novembers with Scentsy. In November of 2008, I was a brand new consultant. I was desperate. I had the desire. I needed the money. So I filled my schedule. Along with my full-time job, I had a second job on the weekend. I had the 2 kids. I have a husband. All of those things. I didn't have extra time, but I booked 23 home parties. So in 1 month, in November of 2008, I did 23 home parties. Again, along with my job and everything else that I was doing. Did I sleep? No, I was exhausted. But was it going to be worth it? Yes. Becca kept telling me it was going to be worth it. And I was like, you better be right, because I'm tired. So November 2008, and I share again, with that income disclosure, when I share this, I'm only telling you this because I want you guys to know that it's possible. And it is very important that if you ever share any type of numbers that you do use that income disclosure statement. And it's not because Heidi and Orville are mean, it's because the industry looks bad when we start throwing numbers out and people are lying and not telling the truth. So you need to let people know that my results may not be typical. So November 2008, 23 home parties, my paycheck was under $3,000, so like $2,800-ish dollars. Okay, I was so excited. I had this money. I finally was going to be able to get all the Christmas presents that I wanted to get for my kids, pay off a couple of things. So, but guess what? I woke up on December 1st, like many of you, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this, right? Like I was exhausted. I didn't want to do another month of the same thing. So we're going to fast forward. We talk about something called the 2-year plan. So if you can sell 2,000 PRV every single month, just do it. Just say, okay, I have to sell 2,000 PRV. No matter how you can do it. It's a lot easier to do it with parties than individual sales because then you get big groups of sales instead of individual orders. And sponsor 2 people every single month and teach them to do the same things. Teach them to follow the 2-year plan. Then these results can work for you. These things can happen for you. So fast forwarding 1 year, I followed the 2-year plan. Sometimes I did double. Sometimes I did, 4,000 and maybe 4 recruits. So 1 year later, I only did 10 home parties in November of 2009 and a couple of small events. And I had sponsored people all through that year. So that month, 1 year later, for 1 month, my paycheck was almost $11,000 for 1 month. Fast forward 1 more year, again, working my butt off. Those first 3 years of my business, I gave everything I had, okay? I worked my butt off. My children, just for the record, were 5 and 8 when I joined Scentsy. So for those first 3 years, but they helped me. Our family fun was labeling and doing all the things that you guys all do with your children. We did all those things. And we planned, which I'll get to, fun things so that they had something to look forward to. So November of 2010, 1 year later, I did 4 home parties. A few events, a couple of just a couple of events. I don't do like the great big, when I say events, I'm talking like the most I've ever sold at an event is maybe $1,000, maybe a little bit more, but I don't do like those big, huge events by any means. But my paycheck was over $25,000 for 1 month. So that is following the 2-year plan, okay? 2,000. Sponsor 2 people. But you can't sponsor them and just throw them to the wolves. You got to sponsor them, build a relationship with them, create that team culture with them of leadership, and work with them and help them. Okay, so that was number 3, focus on action, not training. Number 4 is to build your A-team. Okay, so sometimes we get really nervous to approach successful people, right? But I want you to stop and think about some of the most successful people that you know in Scentsy. And what were their beginnings like? Like, what were they doing before they started Scentsy? So many of them were already they had done pretty well with their lives. Becca Levi owned $1 million company when she joined Scentsy. Did you guys know that? So she already had something pretty great. I mean, you look at somebody like Melissa Gratz. She had a great business. I personally was a dental hygienist. I've made six figures with that job. So you can talk to successful people because our compensation plan is like no other. And if you don't understand that, you need to understand that, because when that person says to you, oh, I'm not selling Scentsy, I make 50% on what I sell. Well, when you look at their compensation plan and you look at our compensation plan, then you really understand why Scentsy is the best. Why we're so successful. Not only do we have leadership that is not even like, don't you sometimes get embarrassed? You feel like you're part of a cult, like you feel like people think that, okay, this Scentsy thing is really not that weird. Like I feel so bad sometimes, like they must think we're crazy, but we actually do have like the most incredible owners, leaders, everything. Like we are so incredibly blessed. So you are blessed with Scentsy, so go bless everybody you meet and share. You're never selling Scentsy, you're sharing the products and you're sharing the opportunity. And that's another thing. Remember, when you talk to people about joining Scentsy, about Scentsy, first of all, if somebody calls you up, hey Jen, I need a 6-pack of wax. Okay, perfect. Well, why are you buying a 6-pack of wax from me? Because you could sell this and you can make a little bit of extra money and then we could start going on trips together. And they're like, oh, no, I don't want to sell it. So then you move into, well, then you should book a party because then you can earn it for free and then all of your friends can have Scentsy too. And then if they don't want to, and the way I look at it is if I have 100% completely failed, then I tell them that it's $31.65. But you better believe that first I've already asked them about joining Scentsy, then I've asked them about having a party. Okay, number 5 is choose your circle of 5 wisely. I feel like you hear this over and over and over again. If you are hanging out with people that talk about everybody, guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna talk about everybody. If you're hanging out with people whose marriages are falling apart, guess what might happen to your marriage? Find positive people. Find people that inspire you. Find people that you want to be like, and you really have to do it. I know it can be hard. I'm not telling you, if your spouse is miserable, I'm not saying leave your spouse and go hang out with more positive people. But if you save that 5, the rest of them better be super, super, super positive, or whatever it is that you want. Hang out with successful people if you want to be successful, right? Totally, I know you hear it, I can't say it enough. If you hang out with negative, you're gonna get negative. If you hang out with positive, you're gonna get positive. So number 6 is what gets recognized and rewarded gets repeated. So we all know this. If you recognize your team, if you recognize people for great things, then they're going to repeat it because they're going to be really excited about it. So recognize as much as you possibly can. Recognize, which to me kind of goes along with complimenting. Learn to compliment people. Train your brain. For every single person that you see, you can love something about them. You can do it. Just train your brain. It is amazing. Another example for me is I have worked really hard on that. So when I was doing some events, I would learn to, when somebody walked by my table, I didn't try to sell Scentsy to them. I told them what I liked about them. So everybody that would walk by, and some people don't ever get compliments. So they just loved the fact that I told them that their glasses were cute or that their shirt was cute. Well, I was actually at an event one time and I was going pee, and right next to me, I could see somebody else going pee, and her shoes were super cute. And so I said, you have the cutest shoes. So we walk out of the bathroom, we wash our hands together, and she said, well, why are you here? And I said, oh, I have a little booth over there, but I just love your shoes. Your shoes are so great. And she's trying to talk about my booth, and I want to know where she got her shoes. Well, she ended up following me to my booth and placed a $25,000 order for nightlights and wax. $25,000 for a nightlight and wax. She worked for a corporation that needed gifts, and we just hit it off. And she was like, well, I love this stuff. I'm always looking for new things. So my point is, I don't even remember what the shoes look like now because I was so excited about the order, but I'm telling you guys, like people, when you see a pair of shoes you like, tell them, because it gets you, it brings great things for you. I've actually had another, this has nothing to do with Scentsy, but real quick, it happened again. I was actually at Scentsy family reunion in Vegas, told somebody I liked her shoes, and she was like, oh my gosh, come out here. here? And so she introduced me to the CEO of Abeo. I don't know if you've heard of that brand. It's like a competitor to Dansko. So he pulls out a little card out of his pocket. He goes, oh, here you go. Go to any walking shoe company. I want you to try our shoes. And anyway, so it was pretty cool. So compliment people. And I'm not saying compliment people to get something back, but as you get really good at this, you're going to build amazing relationships. You're going to change people's lives, because there are people out there that just need a compliment. There are people that need to join Scentsy because they need a friend, or they never got to do a sport in high school. Nobody ever cheered for them. Nobody ever invited them places. Like, this is where it's at. Scentsy is like, just our culture is so amazing, and there are so many grumpy people out there that never got to have this. So, number 7 is set an expectation of independence. So, when I have new consultants, sometimes they probably think I'm really mean because they start asking me all these questions that are in their new consultant startup guide. And I never say, if they say, well, how much is shipping? I try to keep an updated new consultant guide, or I try to keep whatever the question happens to be, and I say, well, I'm going to show you where to find that answer. And so after I've done that a few times, they start to get the hint. And it's not that you're not helping them, but I need them to learn to be independent as fast as possible, especially if I'm really working hard to build my team, right? I don't have time. I'm not a 7-Eleven. I'm not open 24 hours a day, right? I can't be there for everybody all the time. Now, do some people get mad at me? Yup. Some people get really upset with me because I did not answer them, and they think I'm a terrible sponsor because I wasn't right there. I literally had somebody block me last month because she asked me a question at 6:11, and at 6:18 I still hadn't answered her, and she said, never mind, I'll find the answer myself, and blocked me. Not even kidding. So it happens to me too, but guess what? Okay, that gives me more time to work with the people that are nice to me and that actually want to learn from me. So set that expectation of independence. So you want to coach your team to solve their own problems. You've got to help them see that. Because believe me, as your teams grow, and I want to see every single one of you have hundreds and then thousands of people on their teams, well, imagine if right now you're that person that's always answering, and you're always right there, and as soon as they ask a question, you're opening it up. Guys, you can't do that and have a normal, happy life. So if your goal is to build, you need to do now what you're going to be able to do when you have thousands of people on your team. Help people become adaptable, right? Help them learn how to solve their own problems. I loved this quote. I saw this quote. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the smartest. It's the ones that are most adaptable, right? So you don't have to be the smartest, you don't have to be the strongest. As long as you can adapt to change, like a new shipping policy or a new anything, just adapt to it. Make the best of it. Now your parties are all going to be 500 instead of 300. Your paychecks are going to go up. So adapt to the change and make the best of it. Number 8, follow and teach the 4 chords. So of course I was the one that asked Orville about what he thought about the 4 chords, because that was one of my favorite speeches that he ever gave. It was amazing. Were any of you there when he played all the songs and it was the best thing ever. Look for it on YouTube. Look for Orville's 4 chord speech. It's so awesome. So the 4 chords, the 4 things that keep your business going, that will give you a strong, healthy business, is do home parties, sponsor new consultants, provide great customer service, and the 4th one is improve yourself. Now, has it evolved? Do you have to do home parties? Nope, you don't. Do I feel like still today in my group, my strongest leaders still all do home parties? Yep. But I'm sure it's my group. I don't know, maybe because we're a little bit older, I'm not sure, but I love home parties. Now, do I think you should do other things? Absolutely. But do I think you should do a couple home parties a month? Yep, because I feel like myself, it's the best on-the-job training. All the people at your party are going to see how simple your display is, because you're not going to bring in the big, beautiful display with 14 warmers, and you're not going to go out to your car and get another 3 bags of buddies and bring them in, and then you're not going to go out and bring, you're not going to do that. You're going to take one trip in, you're going to show how fun and how simple this is, and then you're going to talk about, if you were your trip to Africa, and how you just got home from Austin and all the fun that you had. That's what they want to hear. They don't care about, they're going to buy what they want to buy. Take that time to not talk about the catalog, not talk about the product, to inspire them. Fill them with inspiration, not information, right? Fill them with inspiration. Make them want to. Are you trying to ask a question?
Yes, can you say the 4 chords again?
Oh, sure. It's do home parties, sponsor new consultants, great customer service, and improve yourself. So, follow and teach the 4 chords. You can never stop following the 4 chords. If you stop sponsoring new people, your team is going to dry up. If you stop doing parties or stop whatever it is that got you to where you were successful, you're going to dry up. If you don't improve yourself, then your team is not going to grow. Your leaders are not going to grow. They're not going to be inspired by you. And if you, what was the other one? If you don't provide great customer service, you're not going to have customers, right? It's that simple. So number 9, share your failures. I love this. I love to share all the things that go wrong with me because I am not perfect. And I actually, for a couple of years, I was working so hard, and I actually had a great leader that I loved and respected so much say to me, Jen, I never want your life. I never want to work that hard. I never want to do any of these things that you do. You go to bed at 2 or 3 a.m. and you're up at 7 and you're still smiling at 1 and blah, 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 blah. And it hit me and I was like, oh my gosh, she's right. But she didn't see that I was bawling at the dinner table because of whatever, or all the bad things that were going on, or the customer that was mad at me because I didn't give her the right order, or I forgot, or whatever. I didn't share all those failures. I just made everything look like it was so easy. So that's when I learned that I can't do that because that's not human, right? You got to share your failures, but not constantly sharing your negativity and your failures. But I just mean when something goes wrong, so when you go to a party and you forgot your testers, take a picture of the party and say, oh my gosh, you guys, look at what we did. I just did a home party. I had no testers. And so share those things with your team because it inspires them and shows them that you're not perfect and that they can also do it. Let's see, share your failures. So one of my favorite quotes, if you guys, I'm sure you've all seen it, is the Mother Teresa, that whole long thing, people are going to be mean to you, be kind to them anyway. That I live by. I actually keep that up. So I don't know why I wrote this under share your failures, but anyway, I totally lost my train of thought, sorry, so I'm just going to keep going with it. But when people are not nice to you, when your team is not treating you kindly, I literally will stop before I respond, and I will go read that quote because it's my favorite quote, and then I will come back and I will respond to them. So I listed a couple of examples. You guys, I missed the annual sales award one time by under $1,000. And it was because I never even paid attention because I had earned it every year, no problem. And then all of a sudden this one year, I don't know what happened, and I didn't earn it. So instead of making excuses to my team and saying, oh my gosh, or I was actually at a director's dinner and I was like, you guys, I didn't earn annual sales. And they're like, why not? I'm like, because I didn't pay attention. It always just happened. And this year I barely missed it. It was not even close to $1,000. It was much closer to, much smaller than 1,000. But the fact that I shared that, and one of them said, well, thank you for telling us that, because I always feel so bad when I don't earn it. You're always earning everything. But it was okay. And it was actually a turning point. And they were like, thank you for not earning the annual sales award. So it's true. Share your failures with your team. Also remember that we are not psychologists, psychiatrists, whatever. You're going to have difficult people on your team. You're going to have people that aren't, like I said before, aren't going to agree with you. Sometimes I swear I seriously wish that I had gone to school for psychology instead of dental hygiene because I would be much more able to handle what was going on in my teams. But hurting people hurt people. That's one thing for you guys to remember. When these people on your teams are really struggling and really not nice and there's always issues, they're hurting, right? Hurting people will always hurt people. To be a good leader, you have to have thick skin and a tender heart. I believe that comes from Mary Christensen, and I love that. So thick skin and a tender heart. So you've just got to do your best. Okay, number 10, you've got to set the tone. So you need to be the pacemaker on your team, right? You need to show them the way. You need to show them your positive things. You need to show them your failures. How do they see you as a leader? That is so important. Share everything about your business. One of the things, another great little story, which you probably have heard, I don't know, some of you might not have, but Becca always said, this is in the beginning, remember, when I joined Scentsy, I had no experience with sales whatsoever. Like I said, I was a dental hygienist, and I was a cheerleading coach and a cheerleading judge. That was it. I had no sales experience. So Becca said, anytime you go to a party or if somebody's going to cancel on you, just go anyway. And so it finally happened to me where the girl was kind of keeping, she wasn't really, she was like, yeah, come. I think people are going to come. So then an hour before the party, she called me and she's like, Jen, I don't think anybody's gonna come. So I was like, you know what, I'm still gonna come. She's like, well, my babysitter's here. And I said, fine, I'll come. So I went, set up all my stuff. The babysitter was there for her little boy. The babysitter wanted a room spray really, really bad, and she wanted to buy the one that I had there because she wanted it that night. So she asked the hostess if she could borrow the $8 to buy that room spray. Sure, she gave it to her. So we waited and we waited and we waited and we waited, and guess what? Nobody showed up. So I had brought my basket party with me, which is what I always do. I try to get it to the hostess before or after, depending on the circumstances. And I said, okay, your party's at $8 and it has to be at $400, because at the time it was $400, not $500. So I left that basket with her, and I said, let's give it 7 to 10 days. So you get the $400, I'll check in with you. So we did that. She hit the 400, which I was actually a little bit shocked. Totally hit it, no problem. She called me up. She's like, okay, I've got my party. I said, okay, let's get together. She ended up coming to my house. I said, all right, so we can do 2 things. I can do this, tell me what you want, or you can just use this as your first party. You can join, just like all of you do. She joined. She posted on Facebook, my house smells so good. I have a new Scentsy business. And this really great lady named Melanie Hall saw her post, and she said, oh, I want my house to smell good too. So long story short, Melanie Hall joined under this girl who had the $8 party, and the girl that had the $8 party did not last with Scentsy. She was gone. Melanie rolled up, and now she's my frontline superstar director. So that's because I didn't cancel the party that nobody was going to go to. So those are the kind of things you want to share with your teams. You want them to not cancel their parties. Let's see. Was I on number 10? Set the tone? Yes. Be what you want to see more of. So if you want your team to do more parties yourself, but you've got to share it with them, okay? Oh, I got to speed up here. Remember, you can't motivate people to do something that they don't want to do. So if you have somebody that does not want to build a business, okay, just don't try to make them build a business. Find the people that want to build the business. So you're not going to motivate anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. Your team is going to do what you do. If you do nothing, they're going to do nothing. If you're putting in $500 on the last day of the month, consistently every month, then your team is probably going to do the same thing. I've always said you need $500 by the 10th of the month. I think Chloe said by the first week. Whatever your number is, have a goal, do it, and make a really big deal about it. So what gets recognized and rewarded gets repeated. So make a really big deal about everybody who has something 500 in by the 10th of the month or the first week of the month or however you want to do it. Don't push people, encourage them. So to be a good leader, to create a culture of leadership, you need to encourage people and not push them. Okay, so now I was going to give you my 10 ideas, 10 programs to promote personal and professional growth. And I'm going to move right along because I'm down to probably 7 minutes. So, number 1, I love book clubs. So if you have people that constantly need motivation and inspiration, say, let's do a book club. Every week we'll just quickly Zoom, we'll read 1 chapter, we'll talk about this book. Some of my favorite books is The Go-Giver, Beach Money, anything by Mary Christensen, and 3 Feet from Gold. There are so many books out there. Those are just a few that I love to recommend to people. Number 2 is videos. Most of us hate to do videos. If you've ever seen one of my videos, I just had a conversation with somebody about this out there. I'm not a professional video maker. I am about as bad as you can be. I have no background. I don't have like tons of lipstick on, and not that lipstick matter. I don't even know why I just said that. I never wear lipstick because it gets all up my lip. It's so bad. Like I want to be a lipstick wearer, but it just doesn't work for me. But anyway, what was I talking about? Videos. Oh, making videos. I can't edit a video. I don't know how to put music in the beginning, none of that. But if you just make a quick video, if you have a basket party, take your phone out, make a quick video of what your basket party looks like. So when you have a new consultant, you say, oh my gosh, I just made this quick video. Here's how you do a basket party. Or anytime somebody asks you a question, make them a simple video that shows them how to do what it is that they want to do. So make videos. Number 3, leadership programs. Do something small. If you don't want to do it, find somebody else who's doing them. Any of these leaders will help you join in. But again, remember, I would not be recommending leadership programs to anybody on my team until their business is growing, until it's doing well. So don't start having them train. Start having them do, and then train. So you've got to get them going before you start training them. Number 4 is have a Fab 5 or a Super 6 or a Sensational 7. So what that means is, this was an idea from Jacqueline Roy. If you have like 5 super awesome people on your team that you could really see see they're really going to go places, put them together in a group and call them the Fab Five or the Super Six or the Awesome Eight, whatever you want. But get those people on your team together and have them work together and build something together, because like minds working together, that will be their circle of 5 or their 6 or 7. Get them together and get them working hard. Number 5, notebooks. I have a dump notebook. I literally carry this notebook around, so everything that I think of, I just write it in that book. If I mail something to somebody, I just keep that in my notebook. However you want to organize it, it's fine. I carry notebooks. I take my notes in my notebooks. I'm so old school, I can't do it on a computer. But then when I want to do a training, I start pulling out my notebooks from all the talks that I've listened to, and I take note and I read my notes, and it helps me prepare for what I want to speak about. Number 6, one-on-ones. I'm really bad at these, but I think that they're really great, and that is my goal, to do more one-on-ones, because I have a really hard time keeping it short. So that's going to be my goal, is to do one-on-ones, keep them short, and I have so much respect and admiration for all of you who are doing them and doing them amazingly. So that's my goal. Number 7, getting to know you forms. I do just a super easy Google form, like just send it to your team members and say, I write, Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, favorite gum, what's your favorite chocolate? Just little things like that. Tell me about your kids. Tell me about your pets. Then now that you have, we have the pet products, now if you had that form, you could go back and say, okay, she has a dog, she has this, she has this. You can look at your forms and say, hey, guess what? Or do a drawing for all the people who have a pet, who you could tell if they absolutely love their pet, or just mail it to them because you know how much they love their pet. Number 8, build relationships. That's obvious, you guys, build relationships with your team members. Number 9, always have a plan. If you were planning a big trip, if you were planning to go to Australia, you wouldn't buy a plane ticket, get on the plane, and then head to Australia, get off the plane and say, okay, now what am I going to do? So it's the same thing with your Scentsy business. You've got to have a plan. So maybe it's the 2-year plan. Say, okay, I am going to sell $2,000 every month, and I am going to sponsor 2 people. So have a plan. So some of the key points that we talked about, I'm going to just summarize here because we're just about out of time. So I want you guys to start modeling the behavior.
Number 10.
Number 10. I decided to stop at 9.
Yeah.
Whatever came to my mind, I wrote it down. Sorry. So model the behavior that you want to see, right? Do what you want your team to do. Don't get mad at your team because nobody sells anything or nobody's sponsoring. I know for a fact when people complain to me that their team doesn't sponsor, I'm like, well, guess who else isn't? So you have to sponsor if you want your team to sponsor. So connect with the people that you lead. Connect with them. Try your hardest. Involve people wherever you can. So if you happen to be lucky enough to live near somebody that's on your team and you're doing a home party and she's rocking it, like she has 800 in already and it's the 10th of the month, call her up and say, hey, you want to come to a home party with me? Or you want to come do this event with me? Or I'm about to go drop off a basket party. You want to meet me at Starbucks and we'll go through my basket party and then we will, I don't even know what I was going to say. All right, so the quickest way to halt your business is to sell something else, is to start another business. So as soon as people see it, whether it's your team, whether it's your leaders or your customers, as soon as you start doing something else, people are going to go find somebody else who loves Scentsy. Stop comparing yourself to others. We all know that comparison is the thief of joy. Who cares what the other superstar director is doing or the other director is doing or the other lead consultant is doing? Do what you can do and do it well. When things get tough, what do you do? So that's kind of what separates the good from the great, is when that brick wall shows up in front of you, what do? We had a talk from a Navy SEAL admiral one time. It was one of my favorite talks. And you know what, the Navy SEALs, they put them through so much. It's so awful, terrible, horrible. And all you have to do to quit is go ring this bell, and then you don't have to be a Navy SEAL anymore. And your life can be so much better. But are you going to ring the bell in your Scentsy businesses, or when things get really bad, are you going to keep going? I've had the worst things you can imagine happen to me in Scentsy, and I still love, well, okay, that didn't come out right, but I've had some of the bad things happen to me that can happen, like people leaving and people starting other companies and whatever, but okay, fine, I just let them go. Your business comes first. Remember that. Your business comes first, not your team's business. If you're not selling and recruiting, you shouldn't be too worried about what your team is doing, because you've got to take care of your business first. Take the majority of the time and work on your business. And then just post about it, because that's the best training they're going to get, is to see what you're doing and that you are successful. And then I would say that, because we're out of time, make a dream board. Make a dream board. So Becca is so into these kooky dream board things, and I would go to her leaderships, and I'm like, give me a break. If I make a dream board, this does not mean that my dreams are going to come true. So I was too cool to make the dream board. I took a piece of paper, I wrote down 5 things that I thought would be really cool if they happened in my life, and I stuck them in a book. And the year that we had the African safari trip, I actually took this particular book out, I opened it up, this paper fell on the ground, and I picked it up, and it was probably from about 5 years prior, and it was my dream board that I had made with Becca, and it was 5 things, and I immediately started crying because every one of them had come true. And at the top on the right, I had written, someday go on an African safari. And I had just earned the African safari trip, so you better believe that after I saw that paper, I made this big, beautiful, I have this really cool dream board that I made. And so seriously, make a dream board, and have your family part of it. If your family is giving you a hard time about your Scentsy business, maybe you're spending too much time on your Scentsy business, it's because they have no idea why you're doing it. They don't understand it. They don't understand what the potential is. They don't understand what your dreams are. Have dreams together, show your family, share it with them, and they will want to go right along with you. And I bet I'm out of time. So thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. And